Okay, before I let the gameplay play, we need to talk. I've lost my humble stature for a brief moment. Because Call of Duty players have been supporting Epstein and they didn't even know. And they should have known. Because on top of the evidence I'm about to share with you from the Humanist Report, there was already 700 sexual allegations against Activision. What was that other company? I think Bungie had the Cosby Suite incident. Like, Call of Duty players have ignored everything political that has happened around this company. Y'all should feel ashamed. I stopped supporting Call of Duty around Infinite Warfare was the last game I bought, along with the Modern Warfare Remaster. That was the last Call of Duty I bought for years until Microsoft bought them. And then I was like, oh, it's a new leaf. Let me go ahead and buy the Call of Duties that I missed. Only to find out that Microsoft created an AI to hunt down Palestinians called Where's Daddy? I'm pretty sure that's their AI. I know they have AI working with the Israel people. But I am so happy that my conscience is clean. And I am so upset that the people who actually discuss the news and have reported on this, like, I'm even angrier at Angry Fucking Joe, who reports these gaming news and has reported on these abuses and then continues to review their games, continues to promote them whether that's a negative review or not. There are hundreds of games released yearly, and even Angry Joe acknowledges that it's too much, that it's going to be a packed month and I have to review all of this. No, he doesn't care about you workers. He only cares about his bottom line because he makes money off of your abuse. I am so vindicated right now, and I am pissed off that the world is finally getting around to it. It was all over the news. I mean, people were talking about it. Young Gid talked about it. Belarus Gaming News talks about it. So many outlets talked about it, including the mainstream news, about all the abuses that Activision went through, that there was a lawsuit with the government, and the government fucked up that lawsuit. They were really close to the end, and they fucked up. But because of the self-gratification shit, Call of Duty players continues to turn their brains off and numb all the politics out because Call of Duty is fucking fun. Or it's fun to criticize it. Or it's fun to make fun of it. Or it's fun to pwn noobs. Or the campaign is fun. I am so vindicated right now. I'm very glad that I stopped supporting Activision for years, and I kept reporting on it over the years in YouTube comments over those videos, and continue. Like Luke Stevens, I still rail every now and then. Every time he talks about a Ubisoft company game, because they have just as much of the abuse as Activision. Not as much, but you're talking, if like the count is, it's 25% of all Ubisoft workers experience some sort of sexual abuse. So they're also a company that's bad. Riot Games is also on my shit list, though that is way less. So you can make an argument over Riot Games, like they just had like a few bad apples there. I don't support them either, but you can make an argument for Riot Games. But Ubisoft and Activision, there was no argument. There is no discussion to be had. There is no debate. It's about time everyone's waking up to this. Now it's time to fucking change. Stop spending your money willy-nilly and get out of the capitalist mindset of consume and forget. We can no longer do with this. Things need to change. Many arrests need to be made. We need the Nuremberg trials part 2 because everything is gone to shit. The pedos own the world right now. We can stop them. We outnumber them. I'm telling you, it. Yeah, I dropped my little humbleness, my little ego check because fuck you, Call of Duty players. I'm glad to have you on my side. Don't get me wrong, but I get to say fuck you, and then we can work together. I can't believe this shit. I've never felt so good and so horrible in my life, and I have a lot of disabilities. Man, things need to change. It's time to get out of the capitalist mindset. We need to create a new government, not end democracy. I'm not asking to change democracy. We need to repair it because democracy is in ruins right now. It needs help. It needs much more than a band-aid. It needs much larger than a full body surgery because from the top down, it's destroyed our health, it's destroyed our economy, it's destroyed our way of life. We're poisoning ourselves because of this consume and forget thing. I mean, AI, all the data centers are poisoning us. They listen to the people on the ground. Go ask questions if you don't believe me. Obviously, there's tons of YouTube channels, but I'm trying to promote journalism because you need to start looking your own shit up. Nick Shirley is not a good. He's barely a. No, I can't even say the J word because he's worse than a propagandist. He's just there to spread hate. He made up a lot of shit and wants to look at kids. Again, part of the Epstein shit. Hello. God, I feel so angry, but I'm so happy that I kept my conscience clear because this shit should bother every single one of you motherfuckers who bought Call of Duty after all the news was coming out. Jesus. Okay, enough of me talking. I'm done with my rants. Let's listen to the Humanist Report.
Although there's more evidence for Israel, but that still doesn't explain the full extent of
Let's
his
turn that
reach.
down.
And that's what I really want to hone in on today in this video, because we're well aware of the most odious crimes that he committed, but Jeffrey Epstein was also able to presumably mold entire industries and influence public discourse in profound, world-changing ways. And simply being well-connected and a possible intelligence agent, it still doesn't quite explain how he was able to do all of this. Case in point, as the Gamer reports, Jeffrey Epstein was apparently a huge cheerleader for microtransactions in video games, the very thing that arguably ruined gaming. James Lucas reports, in newly uncovered correspondence between Epstein, futurist Pablo Holman, and former Activision CEO Bobby Kotick, taken from the over 3 million Epstein files that were released on Friday, conversations were had about, quote, indoctrinating kids into an economy through in-game cosmetics. X Prize is a good idea, but key is real-world rewards, Kotick said in an email to Epstein. Learn to read, earn cell phone minutes, iPhone credits, virtual items in games. Interestingly, these emails were sent on May 3rd of 2013, mere months after Black Ops 2 launched, the first game in the series to feature microtransactions. Activision tested the waters with personalization packs, extra slot packs, and paid calling cards, the first of which released on April 12th, 2013. Call of Duty Ghosts, which launched later that year, went even further with paid special characters, voiceover packs, skins, camos, and even weapons. It's not hard to draw a line between these conversations with Epstein and industry figures and the sudden boom in microtransactions that occurred around the same time period, but what's most concerning is the apparent interest to normalize aggressive monetization strategies towards younger audiences, as suggested in remarks made by Epstein's associates in the DOJ documents. Since this happened, gaming has become even more hyper-commodified to the point where AAA game studios are nickel and diming customers in every conceivable way. Like, they're getting creative with how greedy they are. They're not just selling cosmetics these days to gamers, they're charging for access to portions of games, and they're deliberately designing some games to be overly tedious to coerce gamers into buying upgrades that'll accelerate their progression. It's just disgusting. And Epstein didn't single-handedly create this trend, obviously, seeing as how microtransactions already existed long before he hyped them up in that email and after Call of Duty had already implemented them for the first time, but it's not unreasonable to assume that maybe he influenced Bobby Kotick to make them at least a little bit more predatory in the next Call of Duty, seeing as how he was a financier after all. Oh, and he was also encouraged to invest in Activision 5 years later, where he's told by Paul Barrett, sounds like they have successfully integrated the Battle Royale Fortnite format into the latest Call of Duty game. And Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision at the time, who was talking to Epstein, was also named in the Epstein files hundreds of times, and you might not be too surprised to find out that he was also covering up sexual misconduct at the highest levels of his company for years. So it's no surprise that a creep like him would also be drawn to somebody like Jeffrey Epstein, but the plot thickens even further when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein and video games, believe it or not, because he also helped to indirectly cultivate the regressive, hyper-reactionary gaming culture that's ubiquitous on the internet these days. And I say this because journalist Ryan Broderick, who's followed the rise of the far-right's infiltration of male-dominated spaces on the internet for years, explains how Jeffrey Epstein played a role in radicalizing young men. He writes, based on the documents we have access to, these were twin obsessions for Epstein, manipulating what we see online and finding digital alternatives to traditional finance, i.e. crypto. During the last years of his life, these two ideas would dovetail into one project, building a far-right takeover of Europe with Steve Bannon. Bannon first enters the picture when Epstein took an interest in World of Warcraft. Epstein was close with Brock Pierce, cryptocurrency entrepreneur who co-founded the stablecoin Tether. In 2001, Pierce founded Internet Gaming Entertainment, or IGE, a company that tried to build a trading market for in-game currency for video games like WoW. In 2007, Pierce was replaced at IGE by Bannon, and in November of 2016, Epstein's longtime accountant, Richard Kahn, emailed Epstein a Wired article about Bannon's role at IGE. In-game currency especially was a fixation for him. He emailed former Activision CEO Bobby Kotick in May 2013 a long diatribe about using virtual items in in-game currency to co-opt the existing video game industry and replace traditional education. He seemed to think you could inspire kids to learn better by gamifying it. Now let's pause right there because we're circling back to Epstein's successful co-optation of the video game industry, and the timeline here is really important. So prior to his role with Call of Duty's microtransactions, Epstein was already paying individuals to manage his online perception, especially after his 2008 conviction for soliciting prostitution of a child. Now, based on the emails that we've seen, it does seem like Epstein really was obsessed with manipulating online discourse too, as Broderick reported. Now, around 2011, Epstein took particular interest in 4chan, and its creator, Christopher Poole, aka Moot, shut down its politics board after it became a safe haven for Nazis. So he made the right decision, but then, conspicuously around a year later, he brought it back despite knowing the danger that it posed to the public. Now,
Okay, I wanted to play a little bit after that. Oh my god, I've never been so happy and angry at the same time. Oh, god. Get active, please. Call of Duty players. No more Call of Duty. Play this game. This game is excellent in every conceivable way. Like the campaign that I'm playing right now, free, completely free, and put a lot of work into it. I want to pay for something. Let me pay for something. Um, fuck. God, I'm so angry. Let me just throw in a side note too. That's not an Epstein, but because I care about Ukraine, let me move on to that. This one is a way lesser known fact, so there's a lot more forgiving here. But the people that made the atomic or the atom game, the Russian thing, I forgot what the name was called. Atomic Heart, I think it was. Um, that was funded by the Russian oligarchs that are currently killing Ukrainians, and a lot of you people bought that. But that one's a lot more forgiving because not everyone's going to look into a company, especially since it wasn't in the news. And I think I only know of one outlet, and I can't even think of that outlet that gave me that information. But they're connected to the oligarchs, and since that game made money, it helped pay for Ukraine's continued invasion. Not 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 cool, but that one's a lot more forgiving. Um, but the Activision and Ubisoft and Riot, no, it's way less forgiving because a lot of news outlets cover it, and it was on mainstream news, not the right one. Like I said, right one, you can make an argument, but there's still a lot there. Um, it, I, oh, it feels good, but it sucks feeling this way because you were one of the only people that stopped supporting such a shitty company. Man, all that news came out, all the channels talking about it, and Call of Duty continued to sell really well up until Black Ops 7, where that game is basically made out of AI. I see it all over the place. But yeah. Damn.